Good evening. I'm Maddy Buschur.
I'm Michaela Buschur.
I'm Caden Buschur.
I'm Chloe Buschur. I'm Grace Buschur.
The young lady about to join us on stage has one of the most extensive bucket lists I've ever seen.
Her list includes to swim in Jellyfish Lake,
Eat pig brains, go to Africa,
and be Ohio's state FFA president. While she has been able to check off a few items off her list, the one that has been there since the beginning is to make a difference in the world.
As her siblings, we want to thank you for giving her the opportunity to make a difference. Serving others and making a difference in their lives is truly fulfilling to her, and that is evident to everyone that she meets. Her desire to help others began as a young child, as she had a soft spot for animals. She saved the lives of many kittens and baby rabbits, and even enriched the life of our pet rabbit by taking him on walks down the road, just for fun, and once found a skinny, starved kitten and named him Chubby Cheeks, and determined to help him live up to his name. It didn't take long until he did.
She also goes out of her way to help people reach their full potential. For example, when a classmate and I were preparing for the Creed speaking contest, she made sure we were comfortable by having us recite the Creed like a Southern Baptist preacher, an Australian, a singer, and shouting at the top of her lungs. My classmate and I placed first and second at the contest due to her unique guidance.
So without further ado, we would like to present our sister to you so she can check another item off of her bucket list, giving her state president's retiring address. Our sister and your state FFA president, Maddy Buschur.
'Cause I got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans, try to fit the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy, and on my own I'm so clumsy, but on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me.
The people who just walked off this stage are definitely the main source of weirdness in my life. Picture it, there's a family of 8 of us squeezed in around a dinner table. It usually starts with everyone talking over each other loudly until someone sets off the craziness like a domino effect. Oftentimes it's Caden trying to be funny. Check this out.
I am the governor of giggles.
Hey, Caden, tell me a joke.
What's green and has wheels?
I don't know.
Grass. I lied about the wheels. What's brown and sticky?
What?
A stick.
Good one.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's what we call an anti-joke, something that's so not funny, it becomes hilarious. Other times, it's Michaela doing something ridiculous, like sending a Snapchat of herself, pondering her salad at the dinner table. Or maybe it's Gracie sharing some of her vast amounts of knowledge with us, like the other day when she told me all about what the point of FFA is.
You still have to go when you graduate. Then you'll go to college. Then you'll get married.
So that's the point of FFA. So you can go to college so you can get married?
No.
So what is it?
Well, you will get married, yeah.
Who needs personal growth, premier leadership, or career success when you can just get married, right? The best times are when only 1 or 2 people realize what's happening and start cracking up. And then by the time other people are catching on, the ones who originally heard it are laughing too hard to explain, and someone starts choking on their food and knocks a glass of water all over the table, and before you know it, we're all sitting there laughing that dying seal laugh, like, and slamming our hands on the table. It's the quirky things about my family that makes me absolutely adore them. And it's those moments we're sitting around the dinner table with tears pouring down our faces, laughing like lunatics that I wouldn't trade for the world. But some people aren't that lucky because maybe they don't have a corny little brother or a 5-year-old sister who thinks she knows everything, but oftentimes because they don't have food on the table. We've all heard this spiel. The population of the world is increasing while farmland and the number of farmers decreases. So we're faced with the challenge of growing a population while at the same time trying to feed the 870 million people who are already hungry and malnourished. This is something that I'm really passionate about, and I know many FFA chapters are too, and luckily there's a whole team of us. One man in particular is known as the father of this movement. If you've never heard of Norman Borlaug, listen closely because he was a really cool guy. He grew up in a small town in Iowa, probably similar to the one-stoplight towns many of us grew up in, but found himself in Mexico in 1944 trying to work with a breed of wheat that most of the farmers down there used. Over the years, it had evolved to have really long stems, so as the yield was improving, it started to bend over, which made it difficult for farmers to harvest. If you've ever spent time out in a greenhouse, you know that modifying plants is an extremely lengthy and trying process. So instead of just starting from scratch, Norman Borlaug decided to keep the positive qualities from that long-stemmed wheat and put those together with another type of wheat that wasn't doing so good for farmers in Japan because it was too short. I always joke with my super tall sisters that being medium height is best, and in this case, it turned out to be true. Because after pouring countless hours into this project, Norman Borlaug and his team were able to create a breed of wheat that was tall enough to cover the shade of the weeds, but still short and sturdy enough to hold the weight of the yield. This paved the way for countless more advancements in biotechnology, and because of this, Norman Borlaug is known as the man who saved 1 billion lives from hunger and starvation. Yeah, I said 1 billion lives. I find it pretty amazing how Norman Borlaug took two things that most people considered to be completely worthless and made it into something that is helping to fix one of our world's biggest problems. In fact, there are a ton of great accomplishments that have come from seemingly worthless mistakes. Maybe you've heard that sticky notes were actually supposed to be used for super glue, or that penicillin was discovered on accident when someone forgot to clean out a petri dish. But it doesn't stop there. Let's take Play-Doh, for instance. The gooey stuff you played with as a kid, a failed wallpaper cleaner. The microwave oven was originally intended for use in military radar systems until someone walked past it and the chocolate bar in their pocket melted, and they realized they'd probably have to take it in another direction. And Slinkies were supposed to be used for use in Navy ships. For all you welders out there, stainless steel was the result of a pile of broken gun prototypes. And dear Lord, we almost didn't have potato chips, popsicles, or chocolate chip cookies, because those were all the result of an angry, forgetful, or out of supplies chef. It's not just inventions where this concept applies either, but in our everyday lives too, like the time the Willard FFA members and I were trying to make balloon animals, but they looked more like flowers, so we turned them into a bouquet for their chapter president, Evan, to give to his mom. It's in nature, the way giraffes use their awkwardly long necks to get the best leaves. And it's even in Disney movies, like my recent favorite, Frozen, obviously, where Elsa uses her weird ice-making power to create a beautiful castle and ice skating rink for the town of Arendelle. That's pretty impressive. But I can't sit here and pretend that there aren't worse problems out there than balloon animals gone wrong, a life without popsicles, or a fictional ice-making disease. And even though most of us in this room are still pretty young, we cannot pretend that we're not aware of the broken state of the world around us. According to my favorite source, the internet, 8,300 students drop out of school each day. Every year, 6 million children are abused. Some of them in Toledo, Ohio, which ranks as the 4th largest city for human trafficking. This form of slavery affects 27 million people in our world today, more slaves than we've ever had before. 15% of teenage girls suffer from an eating disorder, and nearly a quarter of our youth and young adults have intentionally injured themselves at least once. Globally, every 40 seconds, someone commits suicide, which means that since I've been standing up here, 12 people have taken their own lives because they believe they are too broken to be fixed. I'd be willing to bet that each of us knows someone who is directly affected by one of these struggles. And that's just a handful of examples of the brokenness in the world around us. Right now, this audience consists of thousands of Ohio FFA members, ranging from 8th graders to college students. It consists of brand new FFA advisors and those who have been teaching for decades, professionals and volunteers working behind the scenes, parents and other supporters of FFA members, and even my 5-year-old little sister. We have different backgrounds, beliefs, talents, and interests. We come from the flatlands of Western Ohio to the hills of Northern Ohio to the hollers of Southeastern Ohio, yet I promise you that every single person in this audience has something wrong with them. Something we struggle with, something we wish we could change, something that makes us feel broken. Maybe it's not something that society considers traumatic or statistic worthy, but we all have something we wish wasn't a problem we had to face. There was a time in my life that I thought that I was too broken to be fixed. Mine's not a story of trial and triumph like the potato chip guy. This is something that I still struggle to fight and struggle to understand each day. There was a time in my life when I thought that I was worthless, that what was wrong with me was too much of a burden to everyone else to be of any value to them. For a long time, I hid this because I thought that I should be ashamed of my scars, that I should be afraid of disappointing people. But I'm not anymore because no part of me is ashamed to admit that I am human. I have trouble with things from knowing what life decisions I want to make, to dealing with anxiety and depression, to passing anatomy and physiology class, to talking to cute boys. I just wish that I could have admitted this at the time because maybe then I could have helped someone who was struggling in the same way. My classmates would ask me how I was so happy and chipper all the time, and instead of admitting that I could relate to the bad mood they were in, I smiled and I nodded and I pretended that everything was perfect until I went home, and honestly, the only thing that was on my mind was how badly I wanted to take my own life. I had loving family and friends, but for the longest time, the only thing that really kept me going was the hope that someday, using my brokenness, I could help to heal someone else's. But that's easier said than done because it's hard not to define ourselves by our struggles and try to hide behind them. I talked to some FFA friends of mine, and it turns out they feel the same way. Today, they're brave enough to share their struggles with you. And I'd also like to share with you a song that I often jammed out to as I tried to comprehend why I felt so broken.
Wake up to a sunny day, not a cloud up in the sky, and then it starts to rain. My defenses hit the ground and they shatter all around, so open and exposed. But I found strength in the struggle, face to face with my trouble. When you're broken in a million little pieces and you're trying, but you can't hold on anymore, every tear falls down for a reason. Don't just stop believing in yourself when you're broken. Little girl, don't be so blue. I know what you're going through. Don't let it beat you up.
you want to heal a broken world? Do you want to have a positive impact? Then do what Madison and Courtney, Logan, Bennett, Erica, and Jeannie did. Let something great come from your brokenness. You know, I really don't think that what's broken about each of us, what's wrong with us, is really even about us. I think it's about how it makes us into stronger and better people that can help fix the problems in the world around us. There was once a little boy and his dad who loved spending time together, and every day when the dad got home from work, they would play together for hours on end. But one day, 5 o'clock came and the father was still in his office, and he realized he'd have to take a few hours worth of work home with him. Concerned about his son, he looked around his office for a game to take home too, but the only thing he could find was a magazine with a picture of the world on the front. This gave him an idea, so he tore out that page and started tearing it up into hundreds of tiny little pieces and put it in his pocket. When he got home, he gave it to his son, directing him to put it back together like a puzzle piece, thinking that this would take him all night long. But a mere 30 minutes later, the little boy came back and said he was completed. Shocked, the father asked him how he did it. It was easy, the boy said. On the back of the page was a picture of a person. I just focused on that, so when I flipped it over, the world was pieced back together too. We are broken people, so we can heal a broken world. So stop hiding behind what's wrong with you. Embrace it. Share it with the world. I don't mean making a Facebook status complaining about your life or telling every person you come in contact with all of your problems. What I mean is putting your brokenness together with someone else's, like Norman Borlaug and his long and short-stemmed wheat. Doing what my friends did and helping to heal yourself while also healing others. Taking the lessons you learn to help prevent someone else from struggling in the same way, or to guide them through their journey, or to make a change in society. No matter how big or how small the change you make is, it will turn what's wrong with you into what's amazing about you. After all, it's in the breaking of the clouds that rain pours down to nourish our fields, the breaking of the land that crops can grow, the breaking of the wheat that bread is made, and the breaking of the bread that people are nourished. It's through the breaking of us that we can help to heal our broken world. Ohio FFA members and guests, never forget that when you are broken in a million little pieces, and you're trying, but you just can't hold on anymore, that every tear falls down for a reason. So don't you stop believing in yourself when you are broken. Go find that reason.
When you're broken in a million little pieces and you're trying, but you can't hold on anymore. Every tear falls down for a reason. Don't you stop believing in yourself. When you're broken, oh, when you're broken. When you're broken.
Maddie, whether you've been skiing into a brick wall or been at a chapter visit spreading your infectious love for the FFA and agriculture, you've been making an impact or been being impacted. You are quirky, caring, and passionate about all things service and possible solutions to world hunger. You've made sure our team has stayed together just as a swarm of jellyfish does. So not just from me, not just from our team, but from everyone. Thank you. Thank you for your unwavering service to the Ohio FFA Association and to your fellow man. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2013-2014 Ohio FFA State President, Maddy Buschur.
When you're the